helpful, it relieves, it soothes people, but it does not heal anybody. So talking about the trauma history, the events that happened, can actually re-traumatize, especially if the person is not ready to go there. And one of the things is we have to be careful how we keep asking people to share what happened, because if the person is not physiologically in the frame and the state to go back there, that person leaves that testimony worse than when they just came. So that's one thing that we really have to be careful about. I remember I was looking at an interview with a young lady, a church sister, who she was talking about her rape experience. And I don't know, well, I know because the hosts, they're not trained in trauma work, but they were smiling and glorifying God, as they rightly should, for her deliverance and her healing. But let me tell you that when I looked at the young lady, she looked like she was about to jump out of her skin. That was how terrified she looked. And nobody in the audience could see that this young lady is not delivered from the rape case. This young lady is still struggling with the rape situation. And she was so frightened, so terrified. There is something called the body keeps the score, where the body still tells the story. And you can know, for those who are trained in the work, you can know when someone just is just talking about it for the host's sake, or really have gone through their work of deliverance. Your body will tell the story as well. The next one is Christians do not need to go to counseling. All they need when they're going through their traumatic experience is just to pray. Well, I didn't add that part, but I'm adding it now verbally. All they need is just to pray. You don't need to go to counseling. There's something called the spiritual bypass, where we use religion, and that's not what God created religion or faith for, to use it as a getaway, because that would be hypocritical. That would be lying. Jesus cared for the entire man. When people were hungry, he fed them. When they needed a friend, he was there. And so we cannot spiritually bypass everything. There are a lot of cover-ups right now and a lot of excessive hurt. But I don't want to get too deep into that. Let me just go through the myths and the misconceptions. There are a lot more, but I'm just going to stick with these 5 of them for now. Now let's look at what really is trauma. What is trauma? Trauma is any horrible experience that is unbearable to your body. It is more than just, oh, I'm having a bad day, oh, I'm traumatized. No. It is more than just something that you would consider displeasing. Because if it is that you have gone through the process of like a week, you feel terrible, and then after the week you're good, you were not traumatized. So that's not trauma. Trauma is anything horrid, that is unbearable to your body. Your body can't bear it. There is no coming back after a week. You are still broken, shattered by what happened. You feel overwhelmed, you feel crippled, you're paralyzed, you're weakened by the situation, and your body seems to not be able to escape the effects of the experience. And I want to share this quickly, that you see, with traumatized individuals, their sense of time goes, not intellectually, but body-wise. Trauma, guys, is a body experience. It's not in the head. The intellect has nothing to do with it. Your body is the organ that keeps the story going. So in your body, the body feels as if the situation is still happening. And that is what they mean when they say you're stuck in the trauma zone. Your body has no sense of time. You don't know that the experience is over, even though your mind knows that this happened last year. But body-wise, everything that you faced that night, that day, that afternoon, is still happening a year later. So the experiences is relived bodily. The last point for what is trauma is the event either, and mark this one, guys. The event either happened to you. So let's use a rape case. And I really I don't want to, the trigger words. I know that people are on the line. You may be triggered by some of the words. But let's use the violation, which is a milder term that we use. Violation, bodily violation, interpersonal violation. If this happened, it can either happen to you. You can either witness it. So we leave out that group a lot where, oh, you never got through nothing because whenever you'd happen to. If you witnessed it, you can be traumatized as well. And we've had a lot of cases where we've heard of a lot of cases where people experienced a murder and that was what traumatized them. So the other part of it is you can either commit the act. Many times we forget that people who commit the act or commit a crime, PTSD is something that you have to watch for too. Because not because he was wrong to do the crime, to commit the crime, that doesn't mean that he should not be paid any attention mentally. Because he's also or she's also at risk of breaking down. Whether or not they deserve it, we're not going into that. But it is one factor that we must watch for as well. So let me go again where the event either happened to you, you either witnessed it, or you committed the act. It is so bad that you literally cannot bear remembering it. You feel helpless, you feel stuck in it, and it goes just beyond experiencing something upsetting. Now let's look at some of the causes of trauma or post-traumatic stress disorder. Childhood trauma, things that happened to you from you were children. This is one of the biggest ones because when you formulate or when you have something happening in the childhood stage, the formative years, the foundational years, and one, I don't remember if it's Karl Marx said this, where give me a child for the first 7 years and I'll show you the man he'll become. That's a whole different story because Samantha, when we look at 0 to 7 years old, when we look at those years, we look at the formation of the subconscious versus the conscious mind. And most of what is produced in adulthood years are not really our self. It's really the programming that was downloaded in those years that formulated the man or the woman people become, if we don't actively reverse the programming. And so most of the times, many of us are living on default and based on what was injected, based on the experiences that we had from 0 to 7. Because there's something, the brainwave called theta, it had to be downloaded for us to live and function among people. And so that part of us is highly constructing the subconscious brain. The subconscious brain is powerful and it creates shortcuts. So a lot of the childhood trauma is what was held on to, what was taught to us from childhood. The next one is exposure to violence. Yes, that can cause it too. War and combat, interpersonal violation like rape and incest, physical abuse. And when I look at the one, the interpersonal violation, guys, let me ask you something. Why do you think so much people don't get help? I made a post about this the other day, Samantha, where a lot of children, a lot of adults don't get the help they need. You know why? Because the perpetrators are at home. You see, for them to go and ask for help for their kids, it means talking on them own self. So guess what? They prefer to let that kid suffer. They prefer to let that child suffer and go through. Oh, you will get over that. Yeah. Your cousin rape you. Nah, God, and you're vexed with your cousin, and you don't want you to stress out your father because your father have high blood pressure, so you can't bother go through the whole system of getting help. And you cause your child to become a monster. That child hates you, that child hates your guts, and that child hates his or her guts. And when that child has kids, that child hates their kids' guts. They hate their partner's guts, and they hate the world, and they hate their lives, and then they end up contemplating suicide.
Yeah, I've
So
seen it. I worked as a guidance counselor. So
yes.
yes, those were some of the issues.
So the ripple effect is so great, so great. And we say this as counselors. We say this as counselors, Samantha, and coaches. If we want to get rid of these things, look at childhood trauma. Look at childhood trauma. A lot of the things, because you see, the thing with PTSD, it's more in the adult stage. We call it the acute trauma, where things happen to us as adults, you know, and most times we bounce back after grieving through the things. But you see, the childhood one, the one that they call CPTSD complex, my God. All right, physical abuse, childhood neglect and rejection, separation from parents, my God. Natural disasters and medical procedures. Some people go through surgery, they wake up in the shock, they can't go back to normal, it seems. These things happen, and we cannot deny them.
But even childhood neglect and rejection and separation from parents, persons don't see that as anything, you know.
Samantha,
because it happens so much.
Yes, it's
and the
so
children have to
normalized.
understand that we have to do that. Oh my God.
Yes. I was looking at a study the other day where the mother pretended that she was dead. It was a case study where the mother pretended that she was dead or unconscious. And the child was playing with her, mommy, mommy, mommy. And the mommy laughed and said, hey, baby. And the baby nice and happy. And the moment the mommy just went down like this, she just dropped her head and pretended like she was unconscious or dead. And the child said, mommy, mommy, mommy. No response. Mommy, mommy, no response. Then the child started crying. Mommy, mommy, it's me. Started saying their name. It's me. Let's say Brandon. It's me, Brandon. Mommy, are you okay? The child curled up in a corner. The child would not speak to anybody else in the daycare center. And even when mommy revived, the child could not go back to mommy. That attachment and that trust was broken. And that is why I don't know how people play prank on their kids, especially like YouTubers and those people. The prank thing, you're messing up your pitney wicked.
Wow.
So when that child, when they reunited child and mommy, it took a lot of counselors to coax that child to say, it's okay, mommy was just joking, because that trust barrier, the trust was broken. That hurt was there. And when the psychiatrist looked at the brain waves of the child in those 5 minutes, mommy pretended to be gone, the activity in the brain changed. So that's what you teach your kids, that when they grow up, they can't trust the world because people are going to leave.
Yes. Wow.
And we set up let me tell you something, Samantha. You said, I left my daughter for 3 months one time, migrated, and she couldn't come at the same time. My husband came up after me. My child was with grandma. Samantha, she loves her grandmother. She adores her grandma. And when she was with my mom, I was not worried. She called every day, yes, and she seemed happy. However, when she came to me, everywhere I went, the first thing she asked, are you leaving me? Are you going to leave? And if I went to the bathroom, she was frantic, afraid. I'm not talking about, oh, hey, mommy, where are you? She frightened out of her with separation anxiety.
Yes.
She was so frantic. If I went on the veranda, if I went outside, mommy is actually getting panic attack. Are you leaving? I thought you were gone, bawling.
Yes.
And she was with somebody who she loved.
Wow.
All right, let's move on.
Someone is asking a question. I don't know if you want to answer no or...
I'm not. What's the question? I'm not seeing the question.
It says, can someone be traumatized by something he hears, such as someone close to him murdered.
Yes. One of the biggest ones. Yes. Yes. Remember that it can either happen to you, it can be something that you witnessed, which also involves hearing or seeing. You may not have seen it, you could hear the act, or you are there, or even if you've heard that somebody died. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. According to the DSM-5, that's the big book that we call it the psychology Bible. DSM-5, disorders that are diagnosed. And that's the latest version too. The DSM-5, one must be exhibiting or showing signs from at least one of the 4 categories to be considered having PTSD or being diagnosed with PTSD. The first cluster is avoidance and numbing. If something happens to you guys and you find that you are showing at least one symptom from each of these clusters, you may be experiencing PTSD. And can I just quickly throw in there, Samantha, that our medical field, and me not put my mouth go and talk, our medical field has been highly avoiding the symptom of trauma. The effects of trauma, they don't like to pay attention to it. You know why? It takes up too much time. Nobody can really spend no funding on these things because it takes a lot of money. And so a lot of people are thrown into depression categories, schizophrenia categories, when all they were suffering from was trauma.
Mm.
Do you see now why a lot of people are on medication unnecessarily? Unnecessarily. The first one is avoidance and numbing. Staying away from the cues, the reminders, the places, the people, the object, isolation, refusing to talk. And it's not refuse, you can't talk about the experience. Your feelings just you cannot bear. I have a client now who says, Shanice, I can't talk about it. You know why? Because she can't bear the feeling of what it brings. That's the nature of trauma. It's no fault of the person. No fault of the person. The next one is self-loathing. You hate yourself to the guts and the core. Why? It's not logical or fair to say to someone, don't hate yourself, love yourself, man. It's not your fault. It's the nature of the trauma as well, to make you hate that part of you that could not escape the act. It's almost like you blame that side of you. Oh, you're just weak. Because you never escape, or you never run away, or you never fight the man, or you never tell the boy to go do this and do that to you. You know, we come up with these narratives, and that's the effect of trauma. It's not you. Don't blame yourself for it. It's not you. All right, so the next one is, oh yes, self-loathing, negative thoughts about self and the world, changes in moods, changes in how you feel, feeling stuck. That's one of the effects where you feel so hopeless. It's like there's no tomorrow for you. You cannot seem to forgive yourself. You feel guilty and you feel ashamed. The next category is intrusive memories and flashbacks. Involuntarily reliving the experience, or some people say they see it playing over and over. It's almost like the experience is right in front of them again and again. And it's not something that they call into their memory. It just happens at random times. Nightmares, unbearable memories and dreams. You're smelling the same scent at the time when it happened. You're seeing the same things, the colors. You're feeling the same feelings like the time it happened. Sweating, heart racing, fearful, anxious, and when re-experiencing the incident. I shared this already where, let me go to the next one, then I give that experience. Hypervigilance, hyperarousal, you're easily startled, jumpy, irritable, explosive behavior, just always want to tear off everybody's head. Paranoid, fearful, easily stressed, angry, you have concentration problems, And sometimes people engage in self-destructive behaviors. I remember when I was robbed, Samantha, and the guy had the gun in my head, the gun in my husband's head, to my husband's head, to my head, two of them. And after that, every time I saw two teenage boys, two teenage young men, all I saw were the two robbers coming towards me. And because of that, the anxiety set in and my heart started racing, even when the two boys just going about their business. Once I saw two boys, I was terrified. And especially when they were approaching, my heart racing, and I started feeling the same sensations that I felt when he grabbed my hair that night. So when he grabbed my hair, I could feel the pain in my neck. And I remember that every time I'm having the flashbacks, I feel the same sensation, the pain in the back of my neck. One day my neck hurt me so till, because I saw two men outside. I was in the car, my husband went to do some business. I saw the two men, and all I'm seeing is the situation playing over and feeling the pain in the back of my neck. The reliving of the experience happens not mentally, it's in the body.
In the body.
It's in the body. All right, so how does trauma affect the brain and the body? Oh my
Someone is
God.
asking if it is possible that someone can have this disorder and not show any sign.
No, you have to be showing at least one of those four. One from each of the four clusters, at least one. If you don't have any signs, what do you mean by you don't have any signs? Because there is one factor that is called hypoarousal, where you shut down. You don't feel anything. You are heavily dissociating. But if that's the case, it is more DID, dissociative or disorder. Dissociative, I forgot what the I stand for. But look up DID. It's more on that side, not PTSD. So if you shut down, you don't feel anything, that sounds like somebody who is heavily dissociating, means you have checked out. So your body shut down all feelings. So look up DID, it's more on that side and not necessarily, because with PTSD, you're going to experience these flashbacks. That's what categorizes it. Okay, we can talk more about that at the end of things. All right, so let's go through, and for that person, you can listen up for this segment because it will clear up some things that will happen to you with PTSD. How does trauma affect the brain and the body? A traumatized person cannot just talk their symptoms away. This is because trauma affects the brain's structure and the body. Trauma sits in the right side of the brain, the emotional, non-rational, illogical side of the brain, right? So on the right side of the brain, that's where the emotional aspects reside. The left side is the intellectual, the rational side, where you can reason things out. You can connect past meanings with present for the future and say, oh, it's not rational to behave like this because the event passed. That's the left side. But trauma doesn't sit there. That is why talk don't do it. Because the person cannot logically reason out that the event done and gone. It doesn't make no sense you tell them that, because physically, biologically, the trauma sits on the right side. It's not affecting the left side. It's really on the right side, which is the emotional brain, where you're just flighty. All you do is living in your feelings. That's where it gets trapped. Trauma sits, yes, I read that already. The body's smoke detector, that's what we call the amygdala. It doesn't work. And it keeps sending signals to the body's alarm system, which is the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. This is the response when the body senses danger. Fight is you either fight and tear down the place and either gets away or it still happens to you, but you fight. Or you freeze, you shut down, and the person just have their way and do what they're doing, but you freeze. It's nothing you choose to do. It's how your body responds to a particular situation. The next one is you could either flight, which is run away, tear down the place and run. And the next one is fawn, where you are overcompensative. You are just giving in. Oh, you want if my shoes, take it, take it, take it. You want my hat too? You want my ring? You want my purse? You want my blouse? You just comply, comply, comply. That is also a defense mechanism. It's God's designs for our body to survive. All right. So you either get in the flight mode, thank you. I see them posting it in the yes, that's DID. In that's how your body may respond to the situation. So again, with trauma, the body's smoke detector that should be detecting when something is dangerous. How do you want to respond to this body? Should I run? Should I run? Should I fight? The body, that system gets messed up with trauma. The hippocampus doesn't work. And this is the part of the brain that works with the amygdala to use the memory to determine if a situation is dangerous or not. So one dog a bark, you know, say, the dog lock up, him not gonna do you nothing. You see, with traumatized people, that dog being locked up still don't mean a thing. To them, that dog is coming. And so the body is just constantly stressed out because everything is a threat. There is no logical reasoning out of the situation to say, oh, that's unreasonable. Don't run from that. It's not going to hurt you. With trauma, the hippocampus, the amygdala, they don't work so well. So everything that should be worked out rationally is thrown off. If an ant's crawling, that ant is going to come tear you down. That's how you see it. That's how you feel it. All right. So appropriate responses cannot be produced. The housekeeping aspect of the body, which is how your body or how you organize your entire body, keeps reacting like it is still in danger at inappropriate times. I've heard of cases where even wives say they're sleeping with their husbands and the husband foot touch them and them tear up the place. Samantha.
Yes.
The lady says she get up and tear down the place, like, because that touch on her body sent that trigger to say, I am being molested again.
Yes.
She get up and she grab a bat and she beat out in daylight.
Yes.
Because to her, the rapist was in her bed. She never remember care. Our body never processes her husband.
Yes.
Or her partner. She just got up and started licking from her left, right, and center. So that's the housekeeping aspect of the body is messed up. Which is why the basic functioning of the body gets messed up too, like sleep, hunger, sicknesses, even going to the bathroom. Basic functioning just get thrown off. All right, so the body keeps reacting like it is still in danger at inappropriate times. Because of these embarrassing and overbearing actions, patients either shut down, cause them shame and they feel bad, and nobody not understand them. So they shut down, they give up the fight, or they become hyper aroused, which is excess fighting. You don't understand me, nobody not love me, you guys don't get me, and I can't deal with it. Like, you just get hyper because you want to be seen and understood. And these patients, they end up acting out. These clients, they act up, they act out, they show up, they show out because they want to be seen. And there is a set that just shut down and then I'm not talking with nobody. They just can't bother. All right, you don't get it. I can't express myself to you. You don't take the time out to get to know what's happening. You don't get it. So why talk? Why try? So that's the hyperarousal or the hypo, which is the lowering. You just give up the fight. The next one is there is a lingering feeling of doom. This is one big one. This one is so big, where this lingering feeling of hopelessness and inner lowness that cannot be eliminated by talk. I remember when I was going through PTSD, Samantha, my intimate life was threatened, challenged. I felt like a big doom and gloom. Talk about doom and gloom. I felt that way. I felt like I needed professional help, psychological help. I needed a scientist, a psychiatrist. I needed every one of them. I need God. I need everybody. I pray, I fast, I bawl. I said, God, please just fix my emotions, fix my vulnerability to my husband, that intimate attachment, that feeling. It just wasn't there. And it wasn't nothing on the man part because him did not go on good. And so he was so loving. My husband is loving. He's the, I don't want to say opposite, but he is very expressive. He's very hands-on, touchy-feely, physical type of love language kind of person. And I was the opposite. I didn't choose to be. I felt so abnormal, Samantha. I felt weird. I felt like, oh God, this is just going to end badly. I just felt hopeless. Sad every day. Sad as a child, just sad.
And it was from the same trauma that with the held
the
up?
gunman?
Yes.
No. Mine was childhood.
So
Yeah.
you had a childhood one and then you had an adult one.
The adult one, the acute one.
Wow.
Right. So it was a double banger for me where I was facing CPTSD and PTSD. And with the complex one, I used to tell my pastor, I don't want to get married. I don't like the man them not trustworthy. Them are going to do me this, that they did my mother. I just saw women as just foolish because all I saw were these submissive women with their men just giving them hell. And my father, yes, he was one of those men.
I think she went through something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Maybe we didn't even know it was trauma.
Right.
Wow.
So with that, at the time, I didn't know because, yes, I loved mental health from when I was a child, but I did not know about trauma recovery work until later on, when I started running the suicide prevention business. That's when I got exposed to trauma work. And my God, game changer, Samantha, game changer. All right, so let's go on now to the next aspect. Focused attention becomes a problem. Can't focus on anything. Samantha, let me tell you, it's like I couldn't even complete a thought in my head. So how my thoughts just get thrown off. I can't focus on anything. Memory was a big zero. Can't remember nothing. Even after pregnancy, so I couldn't blame it on pregnancy anymore. That pregnant brain excuse wasn't working.
So when you said that you got over the trauma that changed your mind on getting married?
No, I got married with the trauma. That's why I experienced it wicked. Because when I told at the time when I told my pastor, I'm telling her, me can't do this because Samantha, let me tell you something. You see, even when we were having like marriage counseling at church, me are the only one was sound like me off. When other people say, you must forgive your husband and be sensual. Every time I find I am the one that sounded weird. Oh, me? No, me not do this. Me not make no man take me. And everybody looking at me like, sister, you're married. So it's like my body just couldn't come to the realization that a part of intimacy is vulnerability, because that was one of my symptoms that I just couldn't connect. I just couldn't feel. Don't even let me go into the body scans where I went to the doctor, and the doctor asked me if I was married, and then he said, your husband stay with you? Because the side of my brain that should be lighting up, that electric response, was completely down for the emotional aspect, intimacy. There was no spark there. It was dark. He said, it's not even on yellow because it's supposed to be on either green, yellow, or red. He said it wasn't even on yellow in the middle. It was red, dead zone, dead zone. Nothing was happening there. And that's because it was years. Complex trauma takes a lot of time to reignite the stimulation in the body, the brain. And I didn't know at the time that I was suffering from PTSD. So it was terrible. It was terrible. All right. So new learning and imagination is almost impossible due to the way the mind is organized and the amygdala doesn't work. So that's why you find people who are traumatized, they cannot imagine better. They can't see better down the road. If you ask them what they're doing next week, they're gonna tell you the same thing every day and nothing. Or the same way I feel now is the same way I'm gonna feel next year. They cannot imagine better. They can't see better. So new learning and new possibility. And that's the amygdala's job, to create that connection between, looking forward. We cannot look forward because the amygdala doesn't work. The individual, give me a minute, Anori. Yeah, sorry about that. So the individual now lives through a different set of lens, through irrational feelings or the lack thereof. Some people don't have no feelings. And then the perception. So their lens now is different. And that is why people who are suffering from trauma, they can't see things the way you see it, because their lens are different, totally different. The brain doesn't process that the past experience is over and that it is in the past. The parts of the brain that is responsible for that does not work. It gets distorted by trauma. So that part is now, it's almost impossible to say, Samantha, it done, it over with. Stop worry about it, because the brain cannot tell that it's over, which is why the body gets stressed, because it's over, yes, in real life, but in your body, it's still happening. So your body's constantly fighting to get rid of it. But get rid of what? Because it's done and gone. And so that leaves the body in a stressed state. Your body is in a constant state of fight or flight, and so it is highly stressed. In this state, you can't relax. You cannot even connect to everyday's joys and pains. So the little things that you should be enjoying every day, not even that you can worry about, because you're just trying to fight off this thing that happened, even though it is done. The next one, very big one, the body's immune system shuts down, which is why it's so urgent to go deal with this, guys, if you are suffering. The body's immune system shuts down and the brain places it on constant alert. So the energy is now sent to your limbic system, which is your hands and your legs, trying to prepare you for fighting and escape from this enemy to survive. But because there is no enemy, all you're doing is getting yourself sick, because your immune system shut down because it's preparing to fight or run. But because the event is over and your body don't know, it lives in this state of fight or flight. And so you're now open to sicknesses and diseases. More illnesses, more sicknesses, more diseases. All right, so the past is over and there is no danger, but your body don't know that. The body doesn't know why it is on alert. So the stress level rises and the stress hormone, cortisol, is increased. The body now is more open to diseases, weight gain, sickness, autoimmune diseases. And guess what, guys? A shortened lifespan. People who are in this state die quicker, earlier. And one doctor, I forgot the doctor's name, but he was telling us about the level of sick people in the hospital who were all linked to stress. He was saying that almost 95% of the patients that come in, if it's not gunshot or stuff like that where you know you can't control, it's linked to stress. Almost all the diseases is stress cause it. Because when you're stressed, guys, it's not the stress give you the disease or the sickness. When you're stressed, your immune system is going to shut down because it thinks you need to fight or run. So it's really trying to protect you, and it pushes all that energy into your arms and your legs. So you have to prepare to run or fight, right? But because there is no real attack, you get sick because your body immune system, it shut down. All your system, which is your mind, your body, and your brain, gets stuck in the fight or flight or freeze mode. It is now hard to learn and take in new meanings, new experiences. It is now hard to become a contributing member of society. And it is now hard to become connected and vulnerable with self, loved ones, and in a professional space. A lot of people I know who are PTSD diagnosed, they can't even work because they can't even relate to in the professional world. All right, alexithymia. This is a very big one for a lot of us. I experienced this too. Not being able to sense or communicate what's going on the inside. I asked one client one time, what do you feel? She said, Shanice, nothing. Can't feel nothing. Just feel dead. Nothing. This is alexithymia, where you just cannot communicate what's happening on the inside. And I got this one that I was telling you about, Samantha, the lost memories, they call it. Chunks and segments of memories from the past become distorted, fragmented, or lost. If and when they do come back, they are fragmented in parts until they start flooding and flowing in a more narrative segment. And I've had clients, and this has happened to me as well, where I couldn't remember like a year of my life. I didn't even know what age I was, because to me I was one age and people were saying, no, you are XYZ, but I could not remember it. And what I found funny now, Samantha, is when I traced it back, it was the year that I experienced most heartaches. That was the year that my mind pushed away for my safety.
Wow.
Yeah. So it really tries to protect us. But at the end of the day, when it does that, we cannot really function. It's really in our best interest, but we can't function like that. Now, what is the aim? What do traumatized people really need? Guys, what is it that we need? What is it that you need? Before I overcame all of this, I didn't know what I needed. All I did was cling to God. He has kept me. He has really kept me. And he has exposed me to this information. Now, what is it that people need? The aim of trauma recovery work and healing work in terms of trauma is to get the individual's body to feel safe, because it's body work. Safe, calm, secure, and in control again. Big point. The main point of this is that the body feels out of control. The aim of trauma recovery work is to be in control. The individual or the client must be able to know what they know, which is another big thing, and face it. Not dissociate, not dampen, not distract, and not cope. We're talking about healing for a lifetime, not coping for no lifetime. We're not on that. Yes, you cope daily, but we are aiming for healing for a lifetime. So individuals must be able to know what they know and feel what they feel and face it. A lot of my clients say, Shanice, I can't bear face it. I can't bear go through it. Just sweep it away. Sweep it away. I remember one time I told my husband I was over something. And one day, for years we never talked about it. And one day he said, tell me something. Oh, that did go again. And he looked at me and said, Jesus, Father, sorry. What me do? Like, he didn't recognize. I didn't recognize that my body looked that way. I started, that was how I was operating, hyperventilating, just I can't breathe. Yeah. And he was like, what's wrong with you? I'm say, well, no, nothing wrong. My God, all right, man, my good. Lie.
Oh, wow.
The body keeps the score. The body keeps the score. Wow. When your words fail you, your body tells the story.
I guess let me ask this question, since I think it sounds like that. It's yes. Someone is saying that approximately 10 years ago, I got a call about 3 a.m. that my uncle was shot. From that time, anytime my phone rings certain time, I think it's something bad. And anytime any sound like gunshot frighten me. Could this be PTSD?
You would have to be experiencing one or more of the symptoms from each cluster. So we can talk about the clusters again afterwards, and you can analyze and look into yourself to see if you are experiencing. But that alone would not be a diagnosis. Okay, I hope I answered that question. But again, we can look again at the clusters to see exactly what is it or where you fall on each of the clusters. All right.
Someone is asking too. They said that they think from their daughter passed away, they have memory problem.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter passed away and they're having memory issues from that time.
Oh, okay. First of all, let me say I'm really sorry to hear that. Very, very sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry that you are going through that. Let me also say that to us, it's not the magnitude or how the situation look. It's not right to say, oh, my child died, so we must get PTSD. No, it's not necessarily the magnitude of the case. It's really the symptoms. So what we do is we have to look at the symptoms that you are exhibiting. Memory loss is one of them, but if it is the only thing since your daughter, we also must continue to check you off on the clusters. So again, you would have to look back at the clusters and see which ones you are experiencing to be able to answer that. And we can't self-diagnose as well, and I don't diagnose. I don't go into that area. So if you are experiencing one of the 4 clusters, write them down and speak with your doctor. I know where I step in is that I deal with the clients, counsel the clients, work with the client's body and brain after the diagnosis. So I could point you into the right direction, but let's stick around after we can look back at the cluster. All right. If there are no more questions, then I'm going to continue.
There is, I think that one maybe match. Someone is asked, does severe trauma cause delusion? And how does one get over those delusions?
That is also, as I said, delusions don't normally take over PTSD. It's not one of the main symptoms. Delusion falls more under, and it could be a lot of other disorders. One is affective schizophrenia. I had one client who she thought she was traumatized. It could have started there, but it went on to being more down that road. So that alone wouldn't really say, oh, I'm experiencing PTSD. But again, also stick around and we'll go back through the cluster to see where you fall. All right? Because with PTSD, it's more reliving of the experience in your body. You just can't shake the experience. It just not leave you alone. It's just there and your body is experiencing the situation all over again every time. Any other questions? Are you saying any more, Samantha?
Yes, one more. Can someone have something bad happen to them and they forgive and that caused them pain and you decide to let it go, I guess to heal yourself?
Yeah, you can. Are you saying that if you can decide to let it go?
If something bad happened to you and you forgive, but it caused pain, I guess if you can decide to let it go and heal yourself.
You can. The thing with self-healing is that, yes, you can forgive the person if you choose to go down the road, and this is highly encouraged, and most of the pain is also because of unforgiveness. If you can safely and effectively go down the road of forgiveness and letting it go and not holding that charge to the person anymore and causing it to hinder your happiness and your progress, then that's beautiful and it is encouraged. And yes, you can do self-healing because your body really knows what it wants. Some people, they know within themselves that all I want to do is just forgive you, because forgiving you, I feel like I will move on if I do it. And they embark on that journey and just listen to intuitive healing, what's the word? desires. So if their body says, or they feel like, I just need a breath of fresh air and I need to speak to you when I see you, yes, people heal sometimes that way. They go outside, they sit by the beach, they take in the fresh air, and they call the person, talk to them, tell them, listen, I'm going to forgive you, I'm releasing you from my life, and you can be healed that way. Yes, you can. Because most times all we need to do is just listen to what we want. In that case, it's not necessarily trauma. It's not trauma with that. It's really hurt and pain. But trauma goes a little bit beyond that, where you can't even rationalize forgiveness. You have to be helped through the process. So in that case, yes, you can. If it's hurt from unforgiveness or pain somebody did to you, yes, you can self-heal. Okay, let me finish this the slide, and then we're going to take the questions again. The whole man must be catered to, and this is something I try to say again and again. Guys, don't feel that the talking with a traumatized person is going to help and fix and cure. Can help for a while, but the symptoms are going to come back. The whole man must be catered to. The mind, the body, and the spirit, and the brain. As overcoming trauma is not about the memories and getting rid of them. It's not just existing as a memory, but the regulating of the sensations and the harmony in the body must be done. It is helping the body and the brain to realize that the past is over and they are now safe in the present. Big, big work. And it's not easy to do, I know. Sometimes we feel hopeless as people who work in this field, but there is hope, and it is a fact that every trauma can be healed. This recovery work involves helping the body to recognize that it doesn't have to process what happened by reliving it anymore. So this is what we aim to help the body to do, that you don't have to relive the memory for it to be processed and released from your system. And our bodies can sometimes, when it creates a shortcut, Samantha, it is hard to let it go. Like walking. You think you can just tell your body to let go the learning and the art of walking. You don't need it anymore. It's not going to do it, because that's what it's used to. It makes your life easier. It protects you from being carried by people and being dependent on people. So it will not let it go. It will keep walking unless there's something physically that's wrong with you, or there's another traumatic experience that creeps in the fear of walking. Then you may not walk. But otherwise, it's not going to release walking like that, because a shortcut was created from you were a child to teach you how to walk, and you never ever have to learn it again. It's the same thing with trauma. It feels like it needs to continue being in that mode where it's freaked out, stressed out. It's not easy for you to tell the person, let it go, it's over with, because it doesn't know that anymore right now.
Wow.
All right. With trauma, the very same emotions and sensations felt in the experience, they are relived in each flashback. The aim is to help the individual to see themselves separate from the trauma, be able to imagine better and beyond the present roadblocks. I can tell you, sis, that a lot of people who I end up working with can't separate themselves from what happened. They brand themselves because of a rape. They now see themselves because of their father beating them to pieces, or their mothers, or how they see their fathers or their mothers treat each other. They see themselves as a product of that. They cannot separate and say, even though that happened to me, I am still Samantha McNeil, and there's more to me than that. They cannot see beyond the fact that I am Shanice Layla Bogle. I am not the child who her father told her mother that I don't want you anymore because I found a younger lady and she's 26 and I love her and not love you guys, and I'm leaving, I'm not coming back. And no, trauma creates that connection constantly with the experience where every part of you is based on what happened. But if you can hold that person and separate them neurologically from the experience, we're winning the battle. That's the work that is upon us with PTSD.
Yes.
So they cannot imagine better, and that's the aim. We try to help them too.
We're going to do the classes on Zoom. And
I think somebody is unmuted. All right. If no help is received, here's what happened. Abuse of substance, because the person is trying to get away from it all. Destructive behaviors, anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, self-hate, self-harm, dissociation, checking out, can't stay in the present. You're living in your mind because you feel safer there and protected. People talking to you, you don't even hear them because your mind is elsewhere in your own dreamland. That's a way how the body protects itself from what's hurtful in the past or in the present. Depersonalization. This one means you feel separated from yourself. You don't feel like yourself. Derealization. This one means the world seems false. It feels like you are not in the real world and like you are separated from the world. Hypoarousal. You feel dead, you shut down. Or hyperarousal. Excess fighting, and not physical fight, but excess agitation, irritability. You're just edgy, you're all up over the place, you're explosive, that excess hyperarousal. And open to demonic oppressions and possession. Don't think this one is out, because the spirit man, remember we say it's mind, body, and spirit. When your spirit has no defense guard, when your spirit is left open because your mind is torn down, the fence, the protection system of your body, which is your mind, your seat of consciousness, trauma that is not resolved or worked upon to be resolved and healed, opens the spirit man to demonic oppression and possession. The mind must never ever be left empty. And that is why certain practices in the spirit world is so dangerous, because you leave your mind's gate open, guys, and it's now the perfect opportunity for some entity to take, because something must drive the ship.
Yes, something must drive the ship. That is
something
right.
must drive the ship. And if you dissociate, I have somebody who told me the other day they want to dissociate because they feel safer there. It's true. You make you think madman have no care in the world, and them body nice and then look well thick like them go gym. I saw a doctor told me one time that they tested somebody of unsound mind and their stress level was perfect because they are heavily dissociating to the point of psychosis, madness, and that person has no care for this world because they live in another world in their mind, but something is driving the ship in the real world. Mm-hmm. And so it's we're not saying, get this clear, guys. I know that there are Christians on the line, and yes, I'm also Christian faith-based. Trauma, and not every trauma is a result.
Oh my God.
Yes, yeah. Okay, let's get back. So trauma is not not everything traumatic is demonic. Let's put that out there, please, and understand this, guys, that if you get a shot, if you wake up in surgery, if you get raped, it's not a demon who did it to you. So we have to be real. You must get the help you need, right, to deal with that context of a hurt. But if you don't deal with it and the spirit man, the mental man becomes so low, you can become oppressed through that gateway, right? So that is the opening now to demonic oppression and possession. The next one is, how can we help? And this is, I think, the last slide. How can we help? There are so many ways to help people who are experiencing PTSD symptoms, who have been diagnosed with trauma disorder. The first one is tell the truth. Release it to someone who you can trust, whether it's via words, letter, art, because some people cannot speak. Some people cannot find the words. Trauma shatters your ability to speak about what is happening. So it's fine and understandable if you can't find the words to talk about it. Fine. It's a natural response to trauma. You just can't find the words to put it out there. Scientists and psychologists say that our human words or human vocabulary fail us when it's time to put into words what we go through, because trauma is like a blow to the soul. So human vocabulary can't really construct it. So if you want to put it in, let's say, a letter, what we ask and what I ask some of my clients to do is to write a letter, pretending like you're telling somebody what happened to you. What's the root cause? And then in the session, we read that letter. We have them read it. And many times when they're in their element, just writing in the private zone of their homes, which is why journaling is important. When they're writing and they're bearing their soul out on the paper, it's like they don't even know they've written some things. You see, in the session, when it's time to read it, you will be surprised at how they break down and cry, because some of what they wrote, they weren't even cognizant of the fact that they wrote it. So even if you have to write it and let somebody know. Art is another way where people put together what they can't say. They use pictures to say, daddy did this to me. Some people can't confess that, Samantha.
Yes.
So what they have to do is they just grab a photo, and if I say, tell me about your life, they can't say it, but they can point a picture to me and say, Sean, look at this. And I see, oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we see the math. We see what daddy did. That's how they have to express themselves. Okay, so that's one way. The next way is get professional help immediately. Work with somebody who have experience. I know not every counselor is experienced in trauma work. If you can work with someone who is trained or who knows what they're doing, fine. But ideally get somebody who knows about trauma-informed care, guidance counselor, and who specializes in that area. And of course, if the person have experience, so much the better. If they went through it too, so much the better. Get spiritual help. While you are doing everything else, ensure you have people in your corner who is praying and fasting on your behalf. All right? While I was going through mine, before I got over it and got healed and recovered, and now I can talk about this, that, and now I can feel. Oh my God. I had a group of women who were praying for me when I said, me can't bother with no prayer. I don't want to no prayer. I don't want nobody talk to me about no prayer. I don't feel the strength to pray. I don't even know what I'm praying about, because it just never feel like it's gonna work. They prayed, and they were my knees. They were my voice. And while I was going through the work with the doctor and the psychologist, and while I was even being trained, because I was running a suicide prevention group in it. And so God led me to one of the best doctors who deals, world-renowned guy, who deals with trauma work. God just led me to the man, and I got the opportunity to study under him. So while the Lord showed me that guy, I was also being prayed for. So you see where you have to incorporate all the different tools that God is giving you. Have the people and pray and fast with you. Don't leave that out, because there's a spiritual side to it too. And also get the help that you need in the physical world and the mental aspect of things. And you too, when you can find the strength, even sometimes when you can't find the strength, sometimes all you need to do is just breathe the name of Jesus while you're doing every other thing that you can to get yourself better. Establish a community for support and for a feeling of belonging and validation. One of the biggest things, we find that people can't bounce back because they don't have nobody to run to. Establish a community. They don't feel seen, they don't feel validated, and they don't feel like they belong. These are important. Hold dear to your faith. Take action. This is also one proven statistic where people who have the desire to take action, the ability to take action, they bounce back better. All right. You must do something. You must do to be healed. Sometimes we live in this world, Sam, where we say, fix your mind and your life will change. That is true. But there are times when your mind is just not there and you have to do until your will and your mind catches up with what you are doing. There's a set of nerves in our body called the vagus nerve, where it connects from the back of your head up to your brain. When you do things, it sends the message to your brain. And so your mind can now say, all right, I start feeling, for example, exercise. Many times mentally we're not there, but start put on your crepe, start put on your socks, start put on your little skirt or your tights or your blouse or whatever. By the time you go through your door with a little water bottle, all of a sudden you start feel pumped up because the vagus nerves is transferring the message to your brain to say, okay, prepare for action. The stimulation is going there. You might not feel that way first, but doing changes mind as well. Mind alone don't change doing. It's a three-way: think, feel, act. You have to act to feel, and then your thoughts, or you can think, you change your feelings and change your actions. Three-way. All right. The next one is body work. The body's physiology must be catered to. Body work must be done in trauma recovery work. Body work must be done. Talk therapy alone will not do it. After establishing a professional counselor or somebody you can work with, you will then be guided into daily healing practices. I put that there because tonight cannot hold all the things, we can do. So when you find somebody, they'll lead you into what to do on a daily basis. We also have powerful treatments like neuropsychological or neurolinguistic treatments, where they put electronic nodes on your head and it changes the structure of your brain. We have things that we do like medical therapy, EMDR, and then medication. And EMDR, let me touch a little bit on that, is where you kind of change the processing of your brain, reorganize the person's brain and the memory by using your fingers to kind of go left to right so that the brain changes the way it processes the information. Medication, it is important at times where you have to be stabilized before you can participate in these things anyway, because some clients, some patients, they are so out of it, they can't even participate in a program. Mm-hmm. So they have to be stabilized. The mood have to be leveled off before they can actually participate in their healing and recovery. There's no shame in medication. There's no crime, but I'm weary of it sometimes because sometimes, I won't say most, sometimes and a lot of times clients get pushed off on medication without going to the root of the matter. And we see that happening in our medical field. Yeah. All right, I've said a lot. Thank you for having me. Final slide. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here. With trauma work, there's so much to be said. So many hours of talking can be done. So many hours of sharing and training. But thank you guys for having me. I've been there. I have been there, guys. I have suffered from PTSD as well. I've suffered from complex PTSD. My story goes way back, but I've overcome them and I have the passion and the purpose from I was a child. Sam, there were so many prophecies over my life from I was a child. Random people just come up and say, you're going to become a psychologist, a counselor, a mentor, a coach, whatever, mental health. I didn't know at the time. I would just laugh and say, what am I talking about? But yeah. I knew under the quiet. I knew under the quiet that
the passion was there.
Mental health. Mental health was my thing. You have to pay me. Not saying that you must come and pay but that's how you know too that you love something. Time stops when you're doing it. And that is how I feel about it. My heart cries for people who are hurting. Cries, bawl for people who are hurting. Yeah. And this is really my passion. Last year, in 2019, I got 9 prophecies. 9. Wow. That it was going to be, that, I'd go further in this. And I give God thanks for that. No glory of mine, because I know that there's a work to be done. And guess what, the other side? It's touching a lot of spiritual holes. And so people who are involved in trauma and counseling and mental work must have a life of prayer and fasting. People, if you don't, find somebody to start praying with. Find somebody to fast with. Because when you get into this field, you're tearing up a lot of the devil's plans and you will be attacked. You will be attacked. So thank you again, guys, for having me. Thank you, Samantha's wonderful audience. God bless you richly. God bless you. Hi, Patricia. God bless you too, my dear. Have a wonderful rest of night, guys. I'm going to stop sharing now, Samantha.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. I'm just here thinking, if we can have a part 2 or we can have something therapeutic from you. Because
you are most welcome.
I realize that there are persons here who may not, I find that they're asking how to get over, I don't know, mind stuff and all of those little things. I don't know what else we can do for persons who are having those issues. But thank you so much.
You are most
really
welcome.
A great presentation of
You're
great
welcome.
help. See persons saying profound presentation. Thank you, very informative.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All of those wonderful things.
To God be the glory.
There are persons here who they have the issue.
Yeah.
Could they get a copy of the presentation? Persons are, what kind of help? Is there any help that you have? Any group, anything that they can be a part of?
Yes, if you go over to my page, or if for those of you who are on Zoom and you don't have the Facebook link, my name on Facebook is Shanice Layla Bogle, as it is on the screen. You will get access to my private recovery group. I have a private group on Facebook where we deal with specifically PTSD, complex PTSD, and suicide prevention. That is on Facebook, on my Facebook page. I've linked my private group to my page. So when you get on my page, you can see the access to the group. If you need to email me, it is Layla Bogle, LAYLORBOGLE @gmail.com. So that's Layla Bogle @gmail.com. Yes, I do counseling. We have a lot of Zoom sessions. We have a lot of Zoom room sessions going on. And we also do coaching where we go into that for a longer term in terms of like 3 months working with our clients, because we know it's not a one-day thing. So we really specialize into trauma coaching and recovery work. So thank you for asking that, Samantha.
You're welcome. Okay, so that question is covered, where you can find her and get help after that. Thank you so much. But then anyone with any question, anything that you want to ask before our presenter go? Oh, I thought you had said that you would share with them something that they could choose from, whether or not they have.
Okay. Yes, let me put back the clusters. All right, let me go right back to the clusters, guys. Give me 1 minute. All right, let me know, Sam, if you're seeing it.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so the clusters are right here. Is this it? Yes. So this is a cluster. Hold on, let me maximize the screen. Okay, here they are. 1, so you must be showing at least 1 symptom from each of the 4 clusters or the categories. The first category is avoidance and numbing. If after something has happened to you, if you find yourself staying away from the reminders, for example, the places, the people, the objects, you're isolating yourself, you are resisting and you can't talk about the experience, you are avoiding and trying to numb yourself from it. That's 1 cluster. Because the more you stay away, the more it's not going to bother you in your mind. That's how you look at it. So that's one cluster. The next cluster is if you find that you can't find love for yourself because you hate yourself so much for not escaping what happened, or for the fact that this happened to you. Why me? It must be something wrong with me. Why it happened to me? If you find yourself in that, then you are self-loathing. Negative thoughts about the world. The world is bad, pure evil. Nothing good can come out of the world. Negative thoughts about yourself. I am no good. There's nothing good that can come from me. I'm damaged goods. I'm done for. Self-loathing. Because of that, you don't believe in yourself. You hate yourself. You can't find the will to be confident. You are... Yeah, sorry about that. So you can't find the will to be confident. Your self-esteem is damaged and you self-sabotage a lot. So the changes in your mood, you always feel low, always feel depressed, you feel stuck, you feel hopeless, you cannot seem to forgive yourself, you feel guilty. And the big one is that sense of shame. Sense of shame. So that's self-loathing. That's cluster number 2. As I go through them, just jot down the things that you feel are happening to you from each of the clusters. So what you can do is write down the cluster, avoidance and numbing, and write down the one under that cluster that's happening to you. All right, let's go to the third cluster, which is intrusive memories and flashbacks. Intrusive mean them come in when you never ask them to come. It's like they force their way on you. So these memories are involuntary. You didn't ask for them. These memories just randomly come back. You might be washing, doing your hair, bathing, cooking, and all of a sudden, boom, the effect, the thing that happened come back to you. Is like you're seeing it right in front of you play out. The experience is so bad that you can even feel it in your body happening again and again. Whatever feeling that you felt that day or night that it happened, you feel it again. So let's say you got, God forbid, stabbed in your leg. That night, you see, when you're having that flashback, if you're now suffering from PTSD from that experience, you feel the stab wound and the knife going through your leg again. Every time you have the experience, you're going to feel the stab wound again and again, because PTSD traps the pain in your body. It traps the experience in your body and not necessarily your mind, your brain. It's a body experience that you relive. All right. So nightmares, can't sleep, bad dreams about the thing or about anything, but nightmares, unbearable memories and dreams. You're sweating, your heart racing, you're fearful, you're anxious, and whenever you experience the incident. That's cluster 3. I remember one night I was sleeping and I hear myself in my sleep bawling, oh, no, like going back over an experience. I was having a nightmare or flashback in my sleep. I felt the same way. It was terrible. And that's how I thank God for it. You know why, Sam? Because I can relate to who I serve. I can tell them exactly what you feel and what is happening. So I thank God for it. All right. The next one is, the last cluster is hypervigilance or hyperarousal. This is where you're easily startled. Everything frightens you. Everything you jump for. You're jumpy. You're irritable. And I remember one person asked about the phone call at night. They think that everything is now going to be bad. That's one symptom. You're irritable. You have explosive behavior. Paranoid. Fearful. You can't see the good in anything because you feel like something bad is about to happen all the time. You're easily stressed. Everything stresses you. You're angry. That was one of mine too. Always angry, very sad, very explosive, especially towards my partner, where he ticks me off more than everybody else because, you know, he's the closely knit one. Concentration problems and self-destructive behavior like cutting. trying to do things that you wouldn't normally do, climbing mountains, trying to get back that thrill and sensation and feeling of being alive in your body. These people who do this most times are the ones who are hypo-aroused, which means they feel dead, they're low, they can't feel anything, and they just want to feel something. So those are the clusters. Just tick off or write down or take a picture of it and see where you fall. For PTSD, you must be experiencing at least one from each of the clusters for a diagnosis of PTSD, according to the DSM-5.
Okay, so that's that. The present this evening recording is on Facebook. So
yes,
if you miss something and you want to see it again, or if you want to hear it again, it's on Facebook. Also, I'll be uploading it up on my YouTube channel at Prophetess Samantha McNeil. So for those who are not on Facebook, I'm gonna make it available on my YouTube page. So yes, it was a wonderful evening, and this is something we do every Wednesday. It's called Wisdom Wednesday Live, where
yes,
we believe that mindset is everything, and also that we are thriving and striving to be and to become a better version of ourselves. And as holy and sanctimony as we are or we want to be, we are body, soul, and spirit, and all
yes,
three must be satisfied. So on
must.
Wednesdays, we don't get in the spirit and the prophetic and the jumping and the speaking in tongues, but we try to look at things that can help us physically to be better version of ourselves. So for each Wisdom Wednesday, we closed with a very therapeutic kind of a thing where we get to relax and do some breathing technique as we go. Can someone who is experiences PTSD suppresses these symptoms?
Yes, they can. They can.
Yes, they can.
They suppress in a way where you don't talk about them, or you dissociate so much that even if they're happening, you're not necessarily paying them any attention because you're not living in the present. So suppress comes with a lot of meaning. It's not that they're not happening in your quiet time, or away to yourself. I have somebody working with now who, whenever she goes through these things, her partner doesn't know. She keeps it to herself. He doesn't know, but it is happening. So in your privacy, they're happening, but you've suppressed it to the rest of the world and to your partner. So in that way, yes, you can.
Okay, also before we go, for the spiritual aspect of it, for 14 days, we are having a 14-day fast where we are fasting against generational sickness and generational curses. We know that there are other things, and even for trauma, there are some persons, there are some type of trauma that it
Yeah.
happens to families in the bloodline.
Yeah.
Everybody at a certain
Generational.
time, the same thing reach them. So these
That
negative
generational.
patterns, yes, generational. So there are some things that are really generational. And as we fix them physical, we want to also war for
Yes.
them in the spirit. So
Important.
for those that are in Jamaica, it's 11 p.m. that we come on for a short time just to pray together. And
Yes.
for those who are in the US, it's midnight for us. And we come on for a few minutes, we pray together, and we go and we fast for 12 hours from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. or 12 midnight to 12 noon. So for those who are on tonight for the first time who might not have seen or heard, that is something that you can partake of. Also, if you have not yet followed my page on Facebook, please do so. You will be able to see all that is happening on a weekly basis. So as we close,
Awesome.
thank you very much again, Shanice,
You
for
are
availing
welcome.
yourself.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And I will always be calling on you. You don't get away
Not a
from
problem.
this. We're tied for life.
We are. We are. My pleasure, sis. My pleasure.
So, okay, you're going to get yourself in a relaxed mood. You're going to close your eyes. And we are going to relax. that you're in a relaxed position. We're going to be inhaling and exhaling. When you inhale, you're going to hold it in your chest, and then you are going to exhale softly through your mouth. So I'll count us off, and I'll tell you at each time what we're doing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. When you inhale, you're going to take your arms above your head. As you inhale, inhale. Exhale, down with them. Inhale, exhale. You can work, put your neck to the left, to the right. Raise your chest backwards, then forward. Inhale, exhale. One last time, we're going to let everything out. Inhale, exhale. I trust that that was therapeutic and has helped. Thanks again for tuning into Wisdom Wednesday Live. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye. You can go when you're ready to go. that are on Facebook, remember to share on your page.